everybody, and welcome to another episode of Songwriting Simplified with me, Jonny Lipsham, here at jonnylipshamstudios.co.uk in the southeast corner of Scotland, which of course everybody knows is the capital of literally everything, including astral planes and other things that have never been imagined yet. Scotland dominates those as well. We are just not quite dominating in the Olympic Games, but that said, we are a part of Team GB at the Olympic Games, and we're doing pretty well, actually. So I'll take that, and we've already had a couple of Scottish athletes win gold medals, so I will take that as well. But I just realized I forgot to put my phone on silent, so I should probably do that before we start. Because I was running a little late before we started. So anyway, I hope everybody is doing well and has had a good start to their week. I am getting there. I still have the cold. It's kind of lingering. I have been swearing at it. I've been telling it to go away in very clear, very concise, very Scottish terms, and it has not done that yet. It's kind of thinking about it, I think, but its eviction notice has been served. It's just not going anywhere as yet. And if you're wondering what the creaking sounds are, that's my son in the bathroom next door. And we've got a very creaky door at the moment. You may or may not be able to hear it because I have an expander on, so it doesn't pick up sounds below a certain volume. So we're okay. We might not be able to hear it. Let's see who was here. Now, normally I do this whole thing of, who's in the door first. However, it looks like for whatever reason, YouTube kind of cleared the board. And because I did know that there were some people in here that were in very early on when I set the show up, and their posts have disappeared. So I don't know why that's happened. So unfortunately, those of you that were in early, and I think one of them might have been Billy Morgan, your posts are gone. I don't know why. I did not delete them. YouTube seems to have misplaced them. So I apologize for that. So as it stands right now, Chris Rachner is first in the door saying, "Where is everybody?" Yep. Hopefully we are kind of mostly here. We've got like 13 people here. It'd be nice if we get a few more than that. But we'll see. So Chris is here, which is great. He says, he's got a good shot at watching the live show tonight, which is awesome. I'm very glad to hear that. And he says, besides work, I've been working on my submission for the new challenge song. It would sure be easier if I knew what it was going to be about. See, Chris is so keen. He is well ahead of the curve. Well ahead of the curve. And that's impressive. I'm very impressed. Rich Cresswell is here as well, and we got Mike Johnson over in the Philippines, who is up early bird, which is awesome, and he is here, which is great. And we got Stephen Wilson, we got DJ Vu as well. Tony Stringer, he says, I'll catch up tomorrow. Tony, I'm very glad you dropped in anyway. Thank you very much. And we got Keith over at Radio Tuck Frumpet as well. Here we got Ron Figura, who is finishing building out his new studio space, which is fantastic. I'm very glad that he's got that very nice, spacious little place for his studio, which is cool. And let's see, who else do we have here? Neil Thompson is also here, and DJ is asking what the weather is like. It's glorious here. We have had 2 days of fantastic, glorious sunshine. It's been awesome. It's been nice and warm as well. For those of you that work in Celsius rather than Fahrenheit, it has been a very, very warm and very lovely 24 degrees Celsius today, which is nice. I mean, for Scotland, that's actually, on the very warm side of things. Not quite the hottest we've ever had. That goes to, I think, like 2 summers ago when we had temperatures. In fact, we had record temperatures. It was like 41 degrees Celsius a couple of years ago. But we've not hit that kind of heights even though I bought like a whole bunch of new fans to install in here to keep all my gear from exploding. I've hardly had to use them because this summer has been cold, wet, windy, not exactly being out in the garden kind of weather, unfortunately. Let's see who else is here. So yes, I'm still snuffling and snorting. I apologize in advance for that. The W5 family are here. Ron says he was third. Awesome. And it was Billy who was first. Okay, cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks for filling me in. And I think that's it. I'm just looking for you guys to see what the temperature is now. And yes, you can probably hear some pretty loud sounds because I have the window wide open because it is that warm. It's like 15 degrees Celsius here at the moment. And it's like 10 past midnight. All right, so let's see. Rich Cresswell says, interested to know your thoughts on G sharp minor with an A minor in Holst's Neptune. Fascinating that just by using different instruments we can create cool coloration. Got any neat examples? I do. I have to say, actually, bitonality is one of my favorite things. And I think one of the best kind of early 20th century exponents of that kind of bitonal sound, other than Debussy, has got to be Holst. Particularly in the Planets suite in Neptune. Now, Neptune is very, very cool because it actually features a couple of different minor chords that are stacked on top of each other at various points. And the secret sauce with not making that sound too crunchy that it kind of doesn't fit with the mood of Neptune. Neptune is called Neptune the Mystic. So basically the whole thing is to do with setting a very mysterious, mystical atmosphere, which is what that movement of the planets is all about. And so there is melody, there just isn't a lot. And the melody isn't really very upfront in Neptune. It's all to do with orchestration. And it's all to do with shifting sounds from one part of the orchestra to another and combining different sounds. So you'll hear lots of things like harps playing harmonics, which is quite a tricky technique to perform. And you'll have celestas. I think there are 2 celesta parts that are played at the same time. And you've also got glockenspiel as well. So you've got lots of like tinkly kind of sounds, as well as violins playing with mutes on their bridges. So you get a kind of a softer tone to them. And then you've got brass, sometimes played with mutes as well. So it's all in, the secret sauce is in the combination of the instruments and also the combination of the voicing, basically how you distribute the notes of the chord around the orchestra. Because if I was just to play an A minor triad and a G sharp minor triad together, it's going to sound a little unpleasant. Kind of sounds very weird. And it's not necessarily very pleasant. And so what you have to do is, instead of having that kind of standard kind of triad, I mean, that kind of, it doesn't sound bad, it doesn't sound terrible, but you've got those kind of sounds all stacked up on top of each other. So what do you do? Well, what you do is you spread the voicing out a little bit more so that the voicing is a little bit more open. So we could take that G sharp, we could put it on the top. And now there's a bit of distance. It's not so bad sounding. You know, we could also take this A at the bottom here and we could put that up an octave. And you actually get something that doesn't sound too terribly bad. We could take this, the fifth of this chord, we could drop it down. And then we could put the A down the bottom. And so it still sounds quite dissonant, but because the notes are kind of spread away from each other to make the voicing a little bit more open, then it doesn't sound quite so bad. It doesn't sound quite so crunchy. You can do the same with stacking major seventh chords as well. So let's take an example of that. So if I take C major seventh, and if I put E flat major 7 on the top, you get another kind of weird sound. And yes, there are some real crunches here. We've got that one there, and then we got this one here. But we've also got some doubling here as well. So if I take out the doubled G in the middle here, or let's take it out from there. And let's maybe take this C out and drop it down the octave. Whoops. So you can do kind of different things like that, you know, kind of bitonal harmony. Kind of does sound really, really nice. Now, what's the secret sauce that Holst is using? The secret sauce that Holst is using is the orchestration. So, for example, if you listen to like the first section, when you begin to get the first kind of hint of melody, and that hint of melody is played by alto flutes and clarinets to start with. And then it goes up into upper woodwind. Basically, you know, the alto flutes and the clarinets, they start this ascending figure, and then you get the piccolo, a couple of piccolos, and high flutes play this little triad together, way up top. And then you get the A minor chord in the trombones and the French horns. So you got this nice big gap. So because you've got that gap between the two different octaves, the crunchiness kind of doesn't sound so bad. But I love that kind of bitonal harmonic idea. And really, to be honest, it is something I have used before in a couple of different pieces that I've done for orchestra before. But it's not something I use extensively, but it is something I want to use a lot more in writing for big band and writing, you know, for jazz groups as well. Because I think bitonality is just something that isn't really very explored still, you know, even though, you know, people like Ravel, Debussy, Holst, and others were kind of delving into it because, you know, it has this kind of mysterious kind of vibe to it. That, you know, you can do, like Debussy did a lot of impressionist works, like Au Clair de Lune, for example, or L'après-midi d'un faun, which is all about the faun in the middle of the afternoon. Basically, that's what the title of it is, a faun in the middle of the afternoon. And that piece of music basically documents kind of this fawn in a field on a beautiful, warm, sunny day in the middle of the afternoon, and kind of its frolics and, you know, it lying about and lolloping about in the sunshine. And so he made use of bitonal harmony. What do I mean by bitonal? Because I've said this word a few times. Well, this is kind of what Rich is hinting at here when he talks about a G sharp minor and A minor at the same time. So basically playing two chords that are not related, they're not in the same key at the same time. And also implying two different key signatures at the same time. And there are other points actually in the planets as a work where you see this come up a few times. It's in Neptune very much. There is definitely the sense of bitonality in Neptune, but you hear it in Saturn as well, which is called the bringer. I think Saturn is the bringer of old age. I think it is. Yeah, Rich says Debussy did nocturnes, which was before Holst, using the same method. Yes, exactly. I mean, you know, there's no question that when Holst was writing the planets, he was heavily influenced by the music of Debussy in particular, and probably was quite the fan of nocturnes as well, and so took some inspiration for that for Neptune. So yes, you get bitonality in Saturn, and you definitely get it in Mars as well. There's sections of Mars. I mean, Mars sounds very, very tonal. But there are sections where there are definitely implied sections where there's more than one key center at the same time. It's a little bit more of an advanced technique for composing. If you're writing, you know, country songs, you're probably not going to do bitonality. It's probably just something you're not going to do. By all means, experiment with it, try it out, and, you know, see how it works for you. But for the most part, you're probably not going to have bitonal country songs. Although, to be, you know, with that said, I did once work with a country singer, and her favorite song was Stand By Your Man. And I accompanied her on this one particular occasion, and it may as well have been a bitonal version because she was not singing in the same key as the rest of the band. Let me just say that. She was in tune. This is the amazing thing about her performance. She was consistently in tune with herself. She was very literally in a different key. It wasn't that she was out of tune or, you know, anything like that. She was actually singing pitch perfect, correct notes, just in the wrong key. You know, the rest of us were in A major. She was not in A major. Somehow she was in C major for the verse, and then because I think she realized that she was in the wrong key, but she had already started, and there was really no way back from that other than to, you know, maybe try and start again. She kind of then tried to start to drift down, and by the time she got to the chorus, you know, the Stand By Your Man, that bit, she was in B flat, and the rest of us were in A still. And I was hammering out the melody for her in A to try and help her get back to where she should be. Let's just say by the time we got to the second verse, she was singing the verse in A, and the chorus was still a little bit in B flat. So I think we made a decision as a band, as this performance progressed, that we needed to follow her rather than stick to what we were doing and hope that she would slot back in. That strategy was not working. So what we ended up doing was we just changed key to follow her. So because she was not pitching the right notes, she was singing the chorus in B flat. We just all shifted up to B flat. So, you know, we got to the 2-5-1 at the end of the verse in A. And then we went, instead of going, you Instead of doing that, we did this. And she sang the chorus perfectly in B flat. And we were playing it in B flat with her. Let's just say it was an unforgettable performance for all the wrong reasons. And that really is my only ever encounter with bitonality in country music. But it did give me some inspiration for parodying certain country tunes, which I'm not going to mention because I don't want to offend anybody that's into country music, particularly. But yeah, Rich, that's a great question about bitonal music. Bitonal meaning two key centers at the same time. So you can legitimately have G major and B flat minor if you want to, if that's kind of the sound that you are hearing in your head. You can certainly do it. The secret to making it work, because it won't work if you just play chords in G major and the melody in B flat minor. That will just sound bad. It will just sound wrong. So the secret is in how you voice the chords. You've got to pick notes out from both key centers to make the harmony work. And then whatever melody you play, you can probably create a melody that's a little bit G major, a little bit B flat minor at the same time. In fact, there is this thing called, big word alert, hexachordal combinatoriality. What the heck is that? Hexachord, 6. Hex, 6. Six notes from one key, 6 notes from another key. Combine them. Hexachord, 6 notes. That's what hexachord is. It's 6 notes. Take maybe the lowest 6 notes of G major, or the first part, and then add to that the upper notes of B flat minor, and maybe you decide, okay, which minor, melodic or harmonic? Don't know. Kind of up to you. Pick one of those. And then you combine them. That's what hexachordal combinatoriality is. It's taking 2 6-note scales from 2 different keys, and you combine them together, and you see what you end up with. And then that is the basis from which you derive your harmony and your melody. So it's kind of like modal music, except you've taken 2 different key centers and jammed them together to create this unique scale from which you derive your melody and harmony. That's hexachordal combinatoriality. And that's kind of something that was a development out of this idea of 2 key centers at the same time, bitonal. So A minor and G sharp minor, or E major and B minor, or whatever it is you want to do. I mean, you could go for E major and B flat major if you want to, because those 2 keys are a tritone apart. And so that might provide something that sounds quite interesting. And so, again, the secret sauce is in how if you're writing for an orchestra or a big band, you've got a lot of different tone colors that you can rely upon to make the harmony work without it sounding too crunchy, too spicy, too dissonant. So, but if you're writing just for a regular band, maybe don't do the whole bitonality thing, unless you're going to do like 2 key centers that are a whole step away, like C major, D major. One of the things I like to do, and I do this quite a bit, if I'm playing a C major chord in my left hand, I will quite often add a D major triad to the top of the chord. So a little bit like this. So if I take C major here, second inversion, I will sometimes even put a D major triad on the top. And it actually sounds very nice, very attractive. This is kind of bitonal harmony. And this, you will hear this in Debussy and harmony as well. Like if I take this whole triad, this whole hexachord, because it's got six notes now, if I take this whole thing and then shift it down a whole step, so my left hand goes down to B flat, and then this one goes down to C, and then if underneath all of that I'm playing a C bass, you can end up with something that sounds very sophisticated without it being sophisticated. So that's another way in which you can enrich your harmony using chords stacked on top of each other. So Rich's example, G sharp minor on top of A minor, pretty crunchy, but also quite nice if you space the voicings out a little bit. D major on top of a C major triad, and you can move that about and create something, quite nice and modal to do that. Or another idea might be to do something like, let's see, let's try a few different ones here. Let's try A flat major. And then what we'll do is we'll put a D major triad on top of that. Now that sounds a little bit crunchier, but again, it's all in the voicing. So that sounds a little bit crunchy. Let's move that A. Let's put that on the top. And then if I add the G to it, make that into an A flat major 7. Or I could make I could make that A into a B flat. So if I raise that up, so what we've got there is we've got like an A flat major 7 with a sharp 11, and then this funny note here, which is like, it's like a sharp 13. So there's ways in which you can just like totally stack different chords on top of each other to create different sounds. And then, the other secret sauce really to this type of music is basically to say, okay, we're going to combine different chords together and we're going to put them on top of each other. But what we're going to do is we're just going to accept that is a single sound all of its own. And then the next chord that we come up with is going to be a single sound all of its own. And maybe not have these two sounds related to each other. And then move between these two sounds, and then maybe add a third chord that is a third separate sound. And you're just treating each one of these chords as a sound entity all of its own. They're not related to each other in any way. But you're just going on, this sounds, kind of maybe dark. This sounds maybe kind of semi-dark. Maybe this sounds nice and bright, but, there's kind of a crunchiness to it. And you play with these three different sounds. And you create a piece of music based out of those. Billy's asking, can you please start over? I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know why you're asking me to start the show again. Because I'm not going to do that. If you need to go back then by all means, kind of use the little slider and take it all the way back to the beginning. If you need to go back over stuff that I've just talked about. So yeah, you can totally stack up these different sounds and just create them as individual sounds in their own right. They don't have to be related to each other, and then, make a piece of music based on these three things. If you were to call them cells, maybe, you could certainly do that. And, there's good actual compositional worth in doing that. DJ Boo says, more and more AI websites and programs are appearing. What do you think about the participation of AI in music production? Can AI help or rather destroy creativity? I think it has great potential to be of terrific help. However, I was having a very, very cool discussion with a friend of mine actually just recently. And what he said was, I like AI. I think AI is terrific. However, I would prefer it if AI took care of the mundane things in life so that I could concentrate on the creative things in life. So if AI could do things like fill out my tax return form, if AI could also do the laundry and do the dishes for me, and could also hoover my floor, mow my lawns, and all of the stuff that I don't like to do, and also keep tabs on when I'm running low on stuff in the fridge and just order the things that I am running out of and get them sent to the house. Those kind of things, I think AI is perfect for. And to me, that's where I would like to see AI being used the most and developed the most, to make mundane tasks the easiest. And so we don't have to think about them anymore. And if you think about it, the more we have developed over the last 150 or so years, we have developed technology that actually does that. It's just not AI. It's hardware products that we instead of standing at the sink to do our dishes, we now stack the dishes into a dishwasher, put a little tablet in the dispensing drawer, hit go and shut the door and walk away, and the dishes just get done. Likewise, we've developed the technology where you can have a meal perfectly made in a little plastic tray. You stick that in the microwave, you set the timer for however long it needs, and you hit start. You walk away, you go do something else, and then you come back and your dinner is ready. The dishes are washed. We've also got robots that will actually do your vacuuming for you. You just set them off when to go, and they learn your environment, and they learn how to avoid obstacles and all of that. To me, that would be the best place for AI technology, is in those kind of things, so that I can spend more time in my studio doing creative things, and also spending time with my wife and my kids, and less time doing the other stuff. And also it would mean we probably wouldn't need to necessarily always go to the grocery store, because AI would just take a look at what's in our fridge and our freezer and go, hey, these are running out, these are running out, these are running out, and just send the order through to the grocery store. And then, employees at the grocery store get the order, and they start bagging everything up and all of that. And then it just gets delivered to our doorstep. That would be pretty cool. I would like that. And the whole thing about, tax return forms. I hate tax return forms. I loathe and detest them. Now, I know that we've kind of started going down that road because, excuse me, woo, because we now have software that kind of does that a little bit, like QuickBooks and things like that make doing those, tax return things and managing your expenses a lot easier. But yeah, that's where I want the focus to be. Not necessarily on, creative things. I think creative things should be the domain of people and not artificial intelligence. I think artificial intelligence can help, but I don't want it to kind of be a case of you just say, hey, computer, write me a big band chart, B flat major. Chord changes would be the chord changes to, I don't know, How High the Moon, tempo, 270 beats a minute, and go. And off it goes, and it does that, and it comes up with this piece based on those parameters. To me, that's kind of where's the creative input from me, other than I have just said, do this, create this piece with this as parameters, go. To me, that's the equivalent, that's the musical equivalent of stacking the dishes in the dishwasher, selecting the preset program, and hitting start. There's nothing interactive there. There's nothing creative there, as far as I'm concerned. I hope that music technology does not move in that general direction. I think there are certain aspects where AI can help and maybe suggest things like, hey, it sounds to me like you are working with the chord changes, the chord changes to I Got Rhythm. Did you know that you can do a tritonal substitution for chord 6 in B flat major to make it easier for you to get to chord 2 and then to chord 5, and then you can do a tritonal substitution of chord 5 to make it really easy to get back to chord 1. AI technology suggesting things like that, suggesting, hey, this would be a better harmonic idea, or maybe try this. For example, if you are studying Bach chorale harmony and you're working on your example, AI could basically say, hey, you've got parallel fifths there, or you've got consecutive octaves. Those are things that you can't have in Bach chorale harmony. You can't have parallel fifths, parallel octaves, or consecutive fifths, or consecutive octaves. Those things are no-nos. So, but they're really easy for a modern day musician to write because we don't do those things. Those things are kind of not no-nos to us. So it's easy for us to slip that kind of stuff in. And, AI could basically say, hey, no, you've got consecutive fifths there. How about you move the tenor line down a step and then the alto line up a step or up a half step. And now you've got major sixths instead of parallel fifths. Stuff like that. That to me would be valuable to AI, for AI in composing in a particular style, because then it's actually educating you. It's being suggestive. It's being helpful, and suggesting ways in which you can improve your craft. That's good because that's educational. That has high value. But music, AI technology where it basically just takes over and does the job for you, no, I don't want that. Let's see. But that's a great question. And it's kind of a very important question for our time. Dwayne says, chat not working on my MacBook, using Safari. My iPhone seems to be okay and testing. Well, guess what? I can read your comments, Dwayne, so we're good. Keith says, you got to get some way to show the keys on the screen. Yeah, I actually have thought about that. And that's one of the reasons why I had that other mic stand that clipped to the table. I was, if it wasn't going to work for the microphone, my idea was I would make it work with another camera. I do have another camera. The problem is I don't have enough inputs on my computer to run a second camera. So that's why I don't have it. It's not part of the thing. But my idea was to have a top-down camera that could basically just look down over my or look over my shoulder, kind of like they do with the Open Studio videos, if you've ever seen any of those, Adam Manis and Peter Martin. They're really, really good videos, really highly educational, especially if you're into jazz and jazz harmony. They're really good. But what they do is they have somebody that has a handheld camera, and that person stands over their shoulder, and you get to see what they are actually doing. That kind of over-the-shoulder camera angle would be really good, I think, if I could set one up. But like I said, I've run out of inputs on my computer. There's no way that I can actually have one running. Now, there are applications, and I think Charles Cornell has this, where you get to see the keyboard on the screen, and any notes that he presses turns green. Yes, that works if you're using your keyboard as a MIDI input. I'm not. This is not MIDI. This is the audio output of the keyboard going into my Quantum HD and coming through OBS. There's no MIDI involved. So it works if you've got MIDI, but it doesn't work if you're just using an audio input. Because there are like Dave Barcelow says, Chord Watch is an app which can show sounds and chords on the screen whilst you're playing. Yes, and it's a great little app. It really is, and I wonder if that's the one that Charles is using. However, like I said, it relies upon MIDI input for its note detection. I'm not using MIDI. I'm using audio. But it's a great suggestion, though. Let's see. Neil Thompson says, there's a song my musical partner has recorded before I showed up, which features a D major triad with an A major triad on top of it. It's just a passing chord into a sequence leading to E major. Okay, so let's take a look at that. So we have D major with A major on top. Okay, what you have there is a D major 9, essentially. Let's drop that down an octave. Basically, that's what you have. There's my D major triad. And there's my A major. And it does sound very beautiful. Yeah, very nice. I like those kind of major 9 kind of sounds. And you can add a sharp 11 to that, and it would sound even more kind of rich, but also kind of, you'd add just an extra layer of tension, just a little bit of spice to those major 9s if you stacked the sharp 11 on the top. So what would that be like? Let's go back to our D major chord. And then let's keep on adding thirds. So put that major third on the top. And if you put it down at the bottom here, you get a little bit more bite and a little bit more crunch. Depends on how much tension you want, but yeah, there's lots of things you can do with that. Let's see. Yes, you guys like my Presonus mug. The Presonus mug, by the way, was when I had the black desk. I had the Fender mug and the Presonus mug at the back of the room. Well, I don't have the black desk anymore, so I'm using it as God intended it to be used, as a mug. Absolutely. So that Neil says there's also the C sharp in there, so it is something more than a typical D9. The C sharp makes it a major 9, not a D9. It's not a dominant chord. It's a major 9 because it's got the major 7, which is what the C sharp is. So that's the major 7. There. Then if you made that dominant into a D9 chord, it would be the C natural, not the C sharp. And then you've got the 9th on the top. And already you've got a song right there, just with those 2 chords. The C major 9, D major 9. You could make an entire song just out of that. 4 to the floor, just that. You know what? You think I should do it? The last few minutes of the show? Yeah, why not? Let's do it. Just because I can. We're going to do it. So let's create a new song. Let's go over here. And we'll create our little track here. And we won't call it Slack. We'll call it piano. And we don't want 12 of them. We just want 1. And we want input right. And there, I've got my piano track. So I've got that ready to record. I'm going to go over to my loops tab here. And I'm going to find me some 4 to the floor disco. Let's see what I can find, actually. 70s funk. Oh, they're all a little bit slow, but we'll see what we can find here. Funk Bridge 1. Let's try some of these out. All right, these are stems. Okay. Yeah, I don't necessarily want stems. Let's see. Looking in here, R&B funk, 70s funk. Let's see what we can find here. This will do. That will do. And then what we'll do is we'll duplicate this a few times. There we go. And let's see what we got here. Yeah, I like that tempo. 120. It's the default tempo. Who cares? Let's set our metronome up. Let's go ourselves that count in. And we'll turn the metronome volume down a little bit because I know it tends to be a little bit on the loud side. There we go. Close that, close that. Oops. Both of those. There we go. Oh, I know it's doing it. There we go. That's better. All right. Yeah, something like that. There we go, something like that. And we got ourselves like a little 12-bar thing going on there. I'm sure I could do something with that. Let's go and grab a bit of presence. And we'll find ourselves a nice bass. Let's go for this one. Something like that. Something like that. Let me do that again. Hello. Delete. Thank you. Fetched up again. Something like that. I've not perfected it yet, but we've got a little idea going on here. Something like that. I will spend some time working on this and see what I can come up with. But thank you very much, everybody, for coming along tonight. I really appreciate it. You guys are epic, as usual. I appreciate you all. We've had some great questions tonight, which is particularly awesome. We got 19 people and 15 likes. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming. Everybody liking. Thank you very much. It's really, you guys are really, really great. Small crowd tonight, but it's okay. We had fun, and there were some really great little questions in there. And who knows? I might actually develop that into something that I may or may not have finished for you for next week, and then you can actually hear how I developed it. That might be quite cool. If you'd like me to do that, then please do hit that like button. Please say so in the chat if you'd like me to finish up that piece and have something, reasonable for next week for you guys to listen to. If you'd like that, just let me know. That'd be cool. Let's see. I'm going to just go one quick look through and see if I'm missing any questions. Doesn't look like it. Neil says, "Oh, sorry, didn't realize that 9 chords included 7ths." Kind of depends. A 9th chord, when we typically say a 9th chord, we tend to say a dominant 9th chord, which has the flat 7 in it. If you say a major 9, that means the major 7th is in the chord, and you've still got the 9th in there. But if we also say a minor 9 chord, we mean the minor 3rd, the flat 7, and the 9th on top. And this is another nice chord that you can just move around. I'm adding an 11th in there as well. But yes, those are chords that you can move around as well and kind of treat in there, as a sound all on its own, for sure. Alrighty, so yes, that is pretty much it for the end of the show. Billy has an after show Zoom, which is awesome. If you guys want to go join that, the link is in the chat as well, so you can go grab that link. But otherwise, thanks everybody for coming. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your questions. I appreciate them a lot. And I will see you guys all on Sunday for Songwriting No, not Songwriting Simplified. This is Songwriting Simplified. I'll see you all on Sunday for Sunday Night Live. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. And I hope you have a really nice Saturday as well. I'm hoping if the weather holds, I will be on the beach on Saturday. Hopefully, we'll see. This is Scotland, after all. And yes, we might dominate the whole world. Unfortunately, the weather kind of has this habit of dominating us. So until Sunday, guys, take care. A very good night, everyone.